Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe, if you dare.
Sure enough, next day I was arrested for sexual assault, and it took a week for her to admit she made it up, but the charges weren't dropped for 7 months. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. Men of Reddit, we hear all about horror stories about how crazy men can be when rejected, but what's been your crazy experience when you rejected a woman?
Number 1.
Freshman year in high school, a girl I didn't really know came up to me and said I was cute and that I should go out with her. My initial impression was that she was pretty cute, but that I wasn't really interested in dating at the time, and I didn't really know her well enough to want to date her, so I politely declined. She seemed to take it well enough and we both went about our day. Next morning I walked up to my locker where her 3 older brothers, sophomore, junior, and senior, were all standing around my locker giving me a death glare. Not knowing who these guys were, I asked if I could get to my locker and they surrounded me. They proceeded to ask me things like if I thought I was too good for their baby sister and what my problem was. I guess they were sent by her to intimidate me into dating her or something, because they said I would be given a second chance to make the right decision. I politely declined again, though this time definitely afraid of an ass beating, but they just called me a pussy and went about their day. Such a bizarre day.
Number 2.
After I broke up with my ex and refused to get back together with her, she kept showing up at my house screaming. I had to call her brother and have him come get her. She attacked me, kicking, biting and scratching me, then told everyone who would listen that I tried to kill her. This kind of crap went on for months.
Number 3.
I rejected a girl once, then about 2 to 3 months later, I was catfished by her. She was only proving that I'd end up going out with her anyway, by pretending to be somebody completely different. A police report and a restraining order later, she's out of my life.
Number 4.
I had a girl break up with me and break my heart and intentionally show up at public places she knew I went to just to make out with guys in front of me. My local bar half a mile down the road when she lived 30 miles away, that sort of thing. I had to make some lifestyle choices and stop visiting my old spots because of it. No idea why she did that.
Number 5.
Went on one very low-key date that she asked me on, and let her know as gently as possible that I wasn't feeling it. This chick just pulled all sorts of shit. Showing up at random places where I was, pretending it was a coincidence. Calls from different numbers. Making fake social media accounts to not only try to contact me, but also befriend my friends. Suicide/cutting threats. Made up friends and relatives dying. Posting photos of me unaware she was nearby. Made up boyfriends to try to elicit jealousy. Even a fake pregnancy scare from one of said fake boyfriends. Really didn't understand how she thought that one was going to sway my opinion. This sort of shit went on for a while until I moved away for unrelated reasons. This was many years ago now and I can't even remember her name. I hope she has forgotten mine as well.
Number 6.
I was dating a girl, she was 20 and I was 22 at the time, and things were clearly not working out. And the only thing keeping me from ending things was that I had left my favorite John Mayer hoodie at her place and couldn't figure out how to get it back without a whole bunch of awkward. I decide there is no way around it, so I call her to tell her that it isn't working out and that we need to end things, and that I am coming over to get my sweatshirt, but she can leave it on her porch if she does not want to talk to me or see me. No luck there. I pull up to her house and she is standing in her front yard. My hoodie is laying behind her in the grass. I get out of my car and before I can say anything, she starts yelling at me. I should mention that it was a nice, mid-June evening, and many of her neighbors in this idyllic picture of suburbia were sitting on their porches and got to witness all of this. This goes on for around 13 minutes, non-stop, with her going on and on while I say nothing. Finally, she runs out of things to yell, and as she is finally catching her breath, I ask, "Can I have my hoodie back?" She throws it at me and I bolt for the car and out the driveway before she can start up again. The hoodie was unharmed.
Number 7.
I dated a girl for a couple weeks and on our 3rd date, we chilled at my place and talked. She told me that she thought men who watched pornography were disgusting and if they were in a relationship, it was cheating. 10 minutes later, she out of nowhere asked to use my computer. I knew the last thing I had opened was not going to impress her, so I said maybe some other time. She got way too angry at this and said her intention was to write me an email about how much she liked me. Bullshit. When I said I thought it would be best to call it a night and drove her home, she went quiet until about halfway there, when she says my dad's best friend is a cop. I can say what I want. I got the gist but figured it was an attempt to make me reconsider. I dropped her off and she started crying very loudly, fell down in her parents' driveway and crawled to the front door. Sure enough, next day I was arrested for sexual assault, and it took a week for her to admit she made it up, but the charges weren't dropped for 7 months.
Number 8.
I was graduating from my master's, had a low self-esteem, and my ex was really hinting that she wanted to get married. I didn't, was super clear on that. She broke it off right before I went to visit my parents. I was a bit bummed out on the way home, and a couple of days after, then she called and said she wanted to talk when I got back. By then, I had the feeling she would want to get back together if we got engaged or married. And that's exactly what happened. When I got back, she acted like everything is fine and talking about us getting serious. After that we went, sat down and told her it was over. I was pissed. She was suicidal. She even ran to the kitchen and got a knife and threatened to slit her wrists. I pulled the knife away after getting cut myself and locked her in my bathroom where nothing sharp was there, and called a friend of mine to give us a ride so I can leave her at her house. That's not the end of it, it had just begun. Next morning I woke up to 30 texts and 5 missed calls. I decided to ignore them. It escalated to 40 a day and 20 missed calls for about a week. Then notes in my car. One day I had 2 slashed tires in my car. Almost missed a job interview. She would stalk me by staying at a cafe across the street from my place for hours, monitoring who came in and who came out and what time. I ended up changing my car, apartment, cell phone, emails, and after that I haven't heard from her since.
Number 9.
Kind of related, but a friend of mine stalked a boy in our high school class for over 2 years and would always tell people, faculty included, how she wanted to marry him, have his kids, keep him in her basement, etc. It was mostly joking, but her crush on him was real. Anyway, one of the teachers ratted her out and she got hit with a threat of a restraining order by the APs if he wanted to press charges. She was mortified, but luckily he didn't want to pursue anything with the law. After that she cooled down the stalking. A year went by and she said she was over him, but then decided to solicit him for anal sex via Instagram DMs, and then told everyone about how she did so. She was reported by a faculty member yet again.
Number 10.
I dated this girl in high school and she was just really clingy. So I broke up with her. I came home the next day to find out that she had been calling my house every 5 minutes and hanging up. She wouldn't stop calling, even after I picked up and asked her not to. We had to call the police. I ran into her dad a few days later. He apologized for her behavior. Years later she moved in with a friend of mine and screwed him out of a ton of money. Apparently he was giving her money for rent and the bills. However, she didn't use it for any of that. She moved out of their apartment, and when my friend got home one night found out that he was being evicted and his girlfriend was gone.
Number 11.
Had a girlfriend holding a knife against my chest when I tried to break up. Needless to say, we ended having sex and I broke up another day, by phone, cause I wouldn't get nowhere near close her with the bad news.
Number 12.
I was relatively good looking and popular in high school and was aware that girls liked me. One of those girls was someone I was studying for an AP exam with. She lived a couple of blocks away and would come over when I got home from baseball practice. One night we were quizzing each other and she said something to the extent of, if you get all of them right I'll let you kiss me. I did not get them all right, but she told me I could kiss her anyway. I just kind of chuckled, told her nope, I had to get them all right, and went back to studying. Later that night she sent me an email about how she views me as more than a friend and wants to know if I felt the same way. She was a cool girl and I liked hanging out with her, but I didn't want to date her, so I told her how I valued our friendship, etc. I get that it was a cliché response, but, rather than accepting it gracefully, she told our AP US history teacher I was harassing her. Our AP US history teacher was also my baseball coach. Now, if you watch American teen movies but didn't play sports, you probably think my teacher/coach told her he would speak to me about it. Then we had a good laugh in the locker room. If you played sports, you're probably aware that I was benched from a game and spent the next couple of practices running laps around the perimeter of the field. I guess that's not really a horror story, per se, but it was still a shitty thing to do because a guy turned you down.
Number 13.
We were friends, hooked up a couple of times. I told her I didn't want to hook up with her anymore cause I was interested in somebody else. Talked on and off for a bit, but never really hung out because of our history, and I didn't feel comfortable with seeing her in person. Strictly platonic. Then one day she texted me saying that she was raped and that she needed somebody to talk to. I called her to see if she was okay, and she was bawling on the phone. I made an exception about not seeing her in person this time. When I was with her, she ran to me, and cried in my arms for a little, then slowly started reaching into pants. I told her I wasn't into it and she went off. She started screaming about how I could reject her in her time of need, That she just needed somebody to care about her, love her, to hold her and touch her body, etc., etc. The real kicker though? Somewhere in her rambling, she said that she completely lied about the rape. Dropped her off a block away from her house and I told her to get the hell out of my car.
Number 14.
I was in high school and found out this girl was cheating on me, so I broke up with her. She wanted to get back together, but I wasn't gonna fall into that again. She would text me like once a month trying to start a conversation to get back together. I kept it to small talk for about 5 minutes each time before killing the conversation. Every time I rejected her, she would get absolutely pissed. She would badmouth me around the school. She tried convincing my friends that I'm gay. She tried saying I beat her. The list goes on and on. Oh, and she tried convincing me that she was pregnant. She made comments like, "You're gonna be a dad." So I went to her house on a Saturday and told her I will pay for a test, but she got really pissed and started making excuses. Luckily nobody ever believed her, and I graduated now so I don't have to deal with her. She still tries getting back together though.
Number 15.
To be fair, I was totally into the girl at first, so my rejection might have stung a little more. We were FWB and she was legitimately super attractive to me. Just, as time went on I learned more and more about her that made me not want to be with her. Sex her, sure, but not like, build a life together. So when she made the move for more than FWB, and I said no, she told me she was going to go F a dude she knew I hated, film it, and send it to me. They're married now, with kids. So, I mean, good on them I guess.
Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.